All right. Damn, this is awkward. I What's up, everybody? It's your boys from Next Phase. Today we're gonna be doing a standard ranking of the set four leaders, the Jump to Lightspeed leaders. Here with Mike and Co.
Right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What's going
And
on?
we're
Hello.
and we're just gonna be ranking them. Now, I want to say the ranking here is not exactly on who's the most meta broken. Some of these we're almost ranking these guys by how we like them. You know,
How we feel? It's all about the
like
heart.
this isn't exactly gonna be this guy's gonna be the best in the meta. No, if we just like his ability or think he's fun, this is more of a likable tier list. We're gonna be doing this based only on standard, and then we're gonna do another one later that's gonna be Twin Sons because we play a lot of Twin Sons. There's gonna be Twin Sons on the channel.
It's a fun one.
All right, but
Absolutely.
our first one here is Asajj. Asajj, I'm gonna read the action. So she taps for free. It's deal one damage to a friendly unit. If you do, deal one damage to an enemy unit in the same arena. And then on flip side, it's a 6 cost 4/6. Grit on a regular unit, and if its attached unit is a leader unit, you know, if it has an attachment, piloting. You may deal one damage to a friendly unit. If you do, deal one damage to an enemy unit in the same arena. That's on attack. All right.
Yeah, so it's the same thing. Same thing on both sides. It's just grit. I feel like grit is good with it's decent, but it's good with things with a lot of big health. So I think it's very situational. Um, I don't know how I feel about dealing one damage to your own friendly unit just for one extra damage. Just because I feel like at the end of the day, as you're attacking, you're going to be damaged anyway. So I don't know how I necessarily feel about
and
having to damage
And
your
she
own
feels
unit
like she
to
wants
get
to
that.
be a grit deck, so you use other cards with grit, so you know you kind of buff in your own character or card.
All right.
But as we saw with Kira, the Kira leader, she was something like I think it was like deal 2 damage to a unit and give a shield token to it, which sounds like pretty good, and,
Right.
and that's also for grit. But people don't use her for grit. You almost just use it for her control. So you're gonna see Asajj in a lot of control. So even if it's not a grit
Hmm.
deck and you're not damaging your own unit just to buff it up, one damage doesn't seem like it's got to be in the same arena too. So that that
Yeah, that's also
that is
important.
very important. I think Asajj is all right. I love control. I'm a control player, so one damage it doesn't do that for me. I would say it's nice that it's a free action and you're not paying anything for it. Because if you're playing control,
Hmm.
you want as much. I was gonna say mana. You want to use as little resources as
Right.
possible because you know you're trying to. So I think it being a free action that deals the damage is all right, and especially if you are playing great units, it feels pretty good. It's not too fun.
Hmm.
It's not too fun of ability to me, and I don't see it being too competitive. But I think
Hmm.
I'd say both.
Yeah, like in terms of grit, it just never translates to competitive situations. You will rarely see a competitive grit leader.
Yeah, like I
So,
said,
you know,
Kira's a
yeah.
pretty top leader, and she doesn't really do too
Hmm.
much with grit.
I will say I kind of agree. I think like she's pretty good at what she does, but what she does isn't necessarily that
All right,
important.
so
If that makes any
are
sense.
we think? I think we're all kind of going BC here. Do we give benefit of the
I was
bout
kind
and
of
doubt and go B?
I was thinking
Oh,
D.
okay.
I was really leaning towards C, so I would be like,
I
I think
I,
C's
I was
good.
saying
see, I
B.
think C
Mike was saying C. Co was saying D. So I think it just goes to C. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
goes.
Yeah.
This is yeah. I think that's the fairest place to put it.
All right.
Yeah, just kind of underwhelming a little bit. I just think it's pretty good. It's just I wish it did a little bit more,
All right.
honestly.
Next leader is my absolute favorite leader of the set. I've already started
Uh
making the deck. It's gonna be
huh.
Thrawn. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna read the ability and then I'm gonna go first because I need to talk about Thrawn.
Go ahead.
So when you use a
Go
when
ahead.
defeated ability, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, use that ability again. Flip side for a 6 cost 4/7. Same thing. It's the same exact wording. So
Hmm.
I love this leader, dude. I love control decks. This seems freaking awesome. It seems fun. Like, fine, and
Yeah.
then using some type of benefit of defeating your own unit and then not only benefiting from it, but double benefiting from it. I think this deck is. I think it has its place in Control as just a meta deck. Not meta. I don't think it becomes a meta, but I think it finds its way into some competitions, PQ showdowns. It's going to find some wins. I love this deck. I would say at 6 cost 4/7 isn't flat like a 4/7 at 6. I mean that's all right. It's not the damage you
Nah, it's
want,
not
but
crazy. It's not
as
crazy.
Control, I
Yeah.
guess if you want to flip, you want to try to do as much damage as you can.
But I think to your point, it doesn't have a lot of damage, but it has a good bit of health, and that's really you don't really care swinging with this guy as much as you care about keeping this guy on the board, so that that ability can keep on triggering.
And one thing to add to that, I was thinking is you never use his ability. Like you don't have to use his ability for a turn.
Right.
It's whenever
It
when
doesn't tap
defeated, like when one of your things is defeated, then you just tap it during that defeat.
It's just
And I don't
constant.
think that uses up a turn, right? When you use a when defeat ability, you may exhaust. And I don't actually. I haven't even thought about
It
that.
never says it doesn't show the tap symbol. It doesn't say anything else. It just says that whenever
So this may be a
or
ruling
so
thing,
so
but I don't think.
you may exhaust this leader. It says you may
So this
exhaust
is
this
with
leader.
like let's say we just got attacked, and
Okay.
let's say my unit just got attacked, and a when defeated ability triggers. I think like simultaneously when that triggers, you tap this to double that, and I don't think it uses up
Yes.
a turn. That would have to be a
No, it
rule. That
shouldn't.
would be
It
have to be a
shouldn't.
ruling thing. We could be wrong, but either way,
Right.
I enjoy Thrawn. I like Thrawn.
Like, just the way that we're reading it, because all the cards. So we're just kind of interpreting off of what we're reading. After the material, I don't see any reason why this would take the turn. But I'm not a judge, so. But I really did like this card a lot. What I was saying before is that I want to give unique. I give bonus points for it being unique. I think that's actually really cool. It's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. And I know you showed me earlier that there's another card already within the set that has that same tag, but still, I got to give it bonus points for that. I like the fact that it's taking advantage of a win defeat attack. That is something that you see across all sets. So even though this is coming out right now through Jump to Lightspeed, literally since set 1, there are really good cards that have win defeated abilities. So I think this guy is going to be used. I think this guy is going to be more meta than anything. I think 100% you're going to see a lot of decks taking advantage of that. Being able to double up on a lot of these when exhausted or when defeated
And
abilities.
I don't think when defeat it's using you can only use it once per turn, but
yeah, because
yeah, but
you're right. Yeah, because
I mean, how many units do you want to die a turn? So I don't think that really limits it too much.
Absolutely. Most of the time, that's all you're really gonna do is one or.
All right, Cole, what do you think anything about Thrawn? You like him?
Thoughts?
I like him. He just seems like he's going to be super meta and probably top 3 leaders of the deck in terms of competitive play. But other than that, y'all said it all.
Okay,
I think.
go ahead.
No, I was just. I think the best way to say it is just. It's very simple. His ability is very simple, but it's very good.
All right, so
Exactly.
where are we ranking him? You guys are saying he's gonna be a top meta. I don't think he's gonna be that good. I don't think he's gonna be top.
Easily yes. I say
I
yes.
don't say okay. It's just that also.
Because
I
I
don't know.
I want to be fair because we were already talking about some leaders before. He is a niche deck. You need certain cards in the deck for him to work. So I do want to clarify. You need a certain deck.
All decks do have every single deck that you've ever played has a win. So I understand what you're saying, where it's very niche to take advantage of it, but you're still, even if you toss him into in a random draft, if you get him on a draft, you're still going to be happy. There's still going to be something powerful you can take advantage of that with, because again, it's not just once per phase. It is once. I'm sorry. No, it is once per phase. I still think it's very, very, very powerful.
So okay, so where are we gonna put
I wanna give
ranking
him-
wise?
And then, like I was saying, I think he's very good, and then I give him bonus points for being unique.
This is how
So
much
I
we
would
like
give
him.
him
I think I clarified that.
Yeah,
This is how
yeah.
much I love
would
him.
give
So
it.
I would, in the terms of how much I like this leader, I love this leader. I don't think he's gonna be meta, but I love control and I love the uniqueness, and I'm definitely gonna make the deck. So I'm gonna go S, but only in terms of I love the leader. I don't think he's gonna be great
don't know.
meta.
Between like talking a little bit about it before and talking to you right now, I at first I had my eye on A, but just talking about it made me like I was like I convinced myself that it's gonna be uh than what we were talking about before. I think it's gonna be
And
really
Cole, you
good.
already said S, right? All
Yeah.
right, so we're gonna go to Lando now. Where we
Yeesh.
love Thrawn, so
Wow.
let's read it. I
Wow. What
You have to
a
pay one. You have to tap. Play a unit from your hand, paying its cost. If you do, and you can control a ground unit and a space unit, give a shield token to a unit. And then flip side,
okay.
he's a Sentinel, 7 cost, 5/7 as a ground unit. As a pilot, it's going to be a 5/5 with Sentinel. And when you deploy as an upgrade, you may give a shield token to a unit in the different arena. 100% way too like circumstantial. Like you need to have a
Yeah.
unit, and first of all, you have to pay for it, and you have to have a
Mhm.
space unit and a ground unit. I don't.
So you're almost guaranteeing that you're like a few phases in before you can ever
Yeah. Before
just
you could
based
touch his ability, yeah.
just based off the fact that you have to have a board on both, like you have to have units on both sides, so you have to already have a pretty decent
And
board.
I mean, how this is so easily countered. Like your opponent could just be like, "Well, I'm
Right.
just gonna kill your one space unit. Now you need to place another space unit. You
Oh,
waste a turn playing a space
absolutely.
unit. I counter your ground unit."
But even if you
You're
have
talking about like if
one unit, indirect
I'm
damage
Yeah,
and shields aren't
I
taken.
just think, but what you're saying, I mean, I like shields, but yeah, I think you could ping the shield off, and they have
Right.
Luke Skywalker from set one, and he just you just pay one and you give a shield token to a unit you played that turn. It has to be
That's
a
what, yeah,
heroism unit, but it's just a way better
right.
version of this.
Yeah, because you're just like yeah, 100%.
All right, so
I do think like his flip side is better. So like if you do look at his flip side, it's a +5/+5. It is like it is pretty good. I mean if you're attaching it to somebody, I'm sorry, not
pilot,
his
yeah,
regular
pilot.
flip side. If you're his pilot side, and you're giving it Sentinel. So I do feel like this is where the card shines. It's not on its regular ability. I think to give it its credit, its flip side is it's really bumping up in power. Um, I still don't think it's enough though.
No, and I mean at 7
Uh,
cost, that's like you get a 5/5
it's
and
you're
Sentinel.
waiting late. Yeah, it's pretty late in the game at
And then
that
it's got
point.
to be a
I
different
definitely
arena.
agree.
So it's like that different arena is also like you can't the unit that you make 5/5 Sentinel, you can't give a shield to that.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, it has to be just to the space
So it'd
token
have
on
to
the
be a
other
ground
side or
unit.
whatever,
So
or ground, or rather, yeah, opposite. Um, yeah, I think it's just not enough. It's too conditional for me. I like it. Too conditional.
I'm gonna go F.
Uh,
I'm also thinking F.
I'm not gonna disagree.
It was 2 against 1 anyways. I don't think. We'll
Yeah.
come.
I was thinking B. That's what I was gonna argue.
Wait, I'm gonna skip Rose for now, just because I don't have an image pulled up for her, and I'll go back. So we're gonna do Pete, Admiral Pete.
Okay.
I'm gonna read the action. So action, play a capital ship unit from your hand. It costs 1 less, and then flip side, it's a 5/2/7. Each capital ship unit you play costs 2 less. All right. I'm gonna let you guys start with this one because I think I differ from you guys.
I think we talked a little bit about this before because I do like being able to pay less. One thing I will, because I have like a few pros and cons. I like the fact that you're going to it's just basically helping you to do something you're going to do anyway, right? In this deck, assuming you're already going to have capital ships inside your hand, is just making it cheaper for you. The thing I don't like is the specificity. I what I was saying before is that I feel like with it being specifically capital ships, it's just kind of leaning too much on over to one side for it being uh you building your entire I don't think you should build your entire hand
It's
around.
too luck based. You
Yeah.
have to. I mean, you only get so many cards in a hand, obviously,
Mhm.
and hoping that you get enough capital ships to where you can use this efficiently, like you want to every turn. It's just not gonna happen.
It's either you don't put enough inside your deck that you don't get them whenever you want, or that you put too many inside your deck that you're leaning too much towards a space. And I feel like you're open towards being attacked a lot in the units,
Yeah.
on the ground units.
All right. For me, again, we've already agreed and talked about this a little before. I disagree in a way. I think he's better than a lot of us are giving credit for. But I do agree that because you have to get the capital ship, and capital ships are more of a late game thing. So I think when we talked about it earlier, you said the earliest you can get, I think the earliest capital ship out is turn 4. You have to have 5 resources available to be able to ever use his
So
ability, which that is also the turn he flips. So
right.
but it's still that 2 less doesn't change too much. So you got to do a lot of early game. I guess you build a deck around it. So your early game stuff isn't obviously going to be capital ships, and then he's a real late game deck. So it's almost control. You would almost play this guy as it's almost like certainly green blue, especially because your best capital ships are blue. So it's almost like a solo deck. You can't make too many decks out of this. You have to play the control game because you need a play till turn 5 where you won't be able to respond too much, or you won't be able to use the benefit of using a leader till turn 5, and your opponent's already been using their leader, for the first 3-4 turns. But
now I will say this is conditional. This is based off of cards that we're looking at right now. Again, there might be better, cheaper capital ships that might come out within the set down the line, stuff like that might make this card more worth it. But it was just the way that I was looking at it. I wasn't. I'm not too low on it, but I'm not too big on it either. I'm a bit C on.
And I think his flip side's really strong though, because at 5 it comes out as a 2/7, which you're not afraid of him on the ground. That's 2 less, so you have to deal with a 7 health unit, which is not easier to do. Especially on turn 5, I guess you could get close, but he's gonna live for at least 2 turns, I believe. And if you have 2 turns to pay 2 less, that you can make those 2 capital ships you could play could have real big impact on win plate abilities or something. So that's where I give him the most benefit of the doubt. It's just you gotta play control with him.
I do agree with you there because anything that makes you be able to pay less, or because resources are so structured, anything that makes it so like you don't have to use as many resources, that you can untap resources, I think is a big boost. So I think that's a good point to say that on the flip side that it can do 2 less. That's a big difference.
I forgot to say, green is very ramp. I mean, we've seen it. So technically,
you should be able to...
technically, if you build the early game as ramp and you're okay with taking, you're gonna have to be okay with taking some damage. You ramp up to 5 resources faster. Then this becomes way better, right? I mean, let's say turn 3, you're already at 5, right? That's only ramping 1 time. Turn 3, you're at 5. You're paying 2 less for what would normally be, it's let's see. Turn 3, you're at 5. So you'd have 5 resources. You're paying for a 7 cost ship on turn 3.
I mean, yeah, you definitely expect you want to use a couple resupplies, maybe super laser technicians early on in the game.
Right.
But just to ramp up there quicker, because with capital ships you're gonna need to.
And I mean, you gotta think about that. Turn 3, you're playing a 7 cost ship.
Not bad.
That's when the game's a lot different.
So it's very beholden to whatever's. You have to get all the right cards. So you have to make sure you put enough of them in your hand.
There's plenty of ramp. I mean, there's at least. You could run 3 super laser technicians, 3 resupplies, 3 commands, and then you have it there. I mean, I guess commands. So all of those are 3 cost cards. Super laser tech is 3, so you need a turn 1 play, I guess. Turn 2, you play super laser tech, and then the next turn you can play him. So you only need 1 time to be above the curve.
I hear what you're saying.
All right, so I think we talked enough on him though. What are we gonna put?
I say B.
I was initially saying C, so I wouldn't be mad bumping that up to B.
I would have put A.
I feel like if you
but you guys outweigh me.
I think you talked it up to B for me. That's good.
All right. I haven't done too much on Vader. I'll be honest. Vader, to me, a lot of people like him, but I'm a little iffy on Vader. I'm gonna read him. I'm gonna read him, and then we could.
Yeah.
So you tap him. If you attacked with a non-token vehicle unit this phase, create a TIE Fighter token. He's a 6 cost, 5/6 as a unit, as a attachment or pilot. He's a 5/5, When deployed as an upgrade, create 2 TIE Fighter tokens. TIE Fighters are 1/1s. So I'm gonna let you guys start
Hmm.
with them.
So I will say, Vader is the kind of leader. I'm a little bit biased, but I don't know. I've had my ups and downs with it because on one side, um, it is a little bit conditional in the sense that it's only on vehicles. I mean, on its original side. Um, but it is something that you could keep doing. Um, so basically, it says that if you attached a non-token vehicle, or if you attacked, or was it, yeah, if you attacked with a non-token vehicle, I can't really read too well.
Yeah, that's what it says. If you
Uh,
attacked with a non-token vehicle
yeah.
this
So
phase.
theoretically, with this set, there should be, there's a lot more. Yeah, we already within our previous sets. So it's one of those things where you're boosting up your board for doing something that you should have already been doing already. You should have already attacked. So this is one thing me and Kyle, we always like to talk about is like the turn order. Is like you always like to attack first, and then do other things after. So in this case, this is something you could be doing after you've already attacked. It's not messing up with the turn order. So I do like that you're just boosting up something you're already doing. Now on its flip side, um I like that it creates 2 TIE fighters. I don't like that it's only whenever it's deployed. So it's just a one-time thing. So but I will say for a lot of decks, that's all you need. If you have an exploit deck where you can exploit 2 items or something like that, you have exploit two, that might be enough to be able to get whatever you needed out. Um, yeah, I think that's
Yeah, because
about
I
it.
agree with okay, I would say I was gonna compare him to Captain Rex of next set because when he deploys, he makes 2 clone troopers, and clone troopers are so
Right.
two two-twos is significantly bigger than 2 1/1s.
Yeah.
But Captain
Right.
Rex does only have, I think he's
Agree.
like 2/5, I believe, so 2 attack 5.
Right.
So
As opposed to adding a
and then
five
this is
five.
buffing something up to 5/5. So I would say he
Right.
makes up for it there with the buff there. And I agree. Like
Absolutely.
you said, you want to attack first. It says
Mhm.
with non-token vehicles, so the TIE fighters don't count. And
But again, you're creating Tie Fighters, so like you should have already had something
well, yeah,
on
but the TIE fighters are
theoretically.
tokens, so if they attack, it
Right.
doesn't count.
That's what I'm saying. You should have already had something on the board before
Oh
you
yeah,
even
yeah.
use this ability. You would attack with it.
So
Yeah.
it is free. I like that. If you're creating a TIE
Mhm.
fighter, you want it to be free. You don't want to pay for a 1/1. This
Mhm.
does use up a turn though. It said if you attacked with this phase, create a type. So you have to. It will
Yeah.
take up a turn. So you lose the
That's
chance to
right.
take initiative, and then
Right.
losing the chance to take initiative kind of makes it lose your chance to attack with that vehicle because your opponent knows what you want to do with your leader. So let's say you have to do this, and then your
That's a
opponent
good
takes
point.
the initiative, kills what you're gonna use to be able to flip your leader. You kind of can't do it. I feel like it's real counterable.
I definitely see that. I definitely
Maybe
could
what
see
I'm
that.
saying is a little niche, right? Or maybe like because I'm saying like, well, maybe your opponent has multiple turns.
Yeah, but that's one of the things we'll have to just see. Whenever the deck, but I definitely see like what you're talking about is not unheard of. It's definitely something that's definitely played out a lot of times. Um, like a scenario like that is definitely played out a lot of times. So I definitely see what you're talking
But
about.
I think as a
Uh,
5/5 attachment at 6, I mean that's for free, and then you create 2 Tie Fighters. That's
TIE
basically,
fighter.
in a way, that's 7/7 on the board. So at 6, you're getting
I
five
hear you.
five, and then you're getting 2 1/1s. You can exploit those 1/1s, so now you just save 4 resources. So I mean, there's ways his flip side is, and then you talk about ramp again.
So
Maybe you just ramp to it.
yeah, as somebody who's like had exploit decks before, that's immediately to where I was like, oh, well, like I could totally just play my Vader as my, maybe my first turn that action. And now that he's on the board, created those 2 TIE fighter tokens, I can use those to exploit something bigger out on the board. Maybe something with Sentinel, something that might save me this turn. Never
I
know.
think
I
I do
thought,
think we talked them up a little more. I thought I was gonna go a little more on the lower side. I do like the there's value no matter where you go with them. right? You get a 5/5, and
Yeah.
you either get 2 TIE fighters, so now you have 7/7 on the board at minimum, or you have exploit material, and I mean Vader could be an exploit deck.
I definitely want to hear where you guys are at with it. I was a little biased, as like I said, this is exactly the kind of deck that I like. I like to go wide, and be like I said, I like to do exploit before. So like that's my deck that I had before was an exploit deck. So that's what I like to try to build towards. That's what I had in my mind. I was a little biased on this. I was leaning a little bit towards B. I don't
Let's
know
see,
where you guys
Duck.
are
Come on, Duck.
I was thinking the same as Mike. Just in the B or C tier,
My man.
Let's see. Okay, I do feel C with Asajj might be. I don't know, because I feel like now A is going to be real hard to get for us. Because if S is hard, A is going to be hard now. Because when I'm looking at Piet, I don't put Vader above Piet, but I think he's like really. If maybe we could come back at the end and resort this if we have no
Okay.
one at A, but we could probably just do a little bump here, right? So A equals.
I I understand what you're saying with Piet up or Piet up.
I don't think Vader's better than
Um,
Piet, and I do think he's in the same level as Asajj, but now I'm feeling like C is too low.
okay, you know what? I would kind of agree with you. I do see where your head's at. Kind of maybe just move Pete up to A. What do
Or
you
we
think?
could move Asajj up to B and then put Vader with there. We'll try that for now, and then we'll come back at the
Yeah.
end. So we'll move these up because I think he's better than Asajj or on the same level as Asajj. Just C feels too low.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
think we have our first
I'm
real
with you.
C coming up because not to give too much away. I think this. All right. I'm gonna read the ability and then we're gonna go to it. So it's tap 1. So
Absolutely.
you have to pay 1. I'm sorry, pay 1. Tap.
Mm-hmm.
Give a resistance unit or unit with a resistance upgrade on it +2/+2 for this phase. And then flips at 6. It's a 3/8. Honestly, this is my first time realizing she's a 3/8. I don't think I've ever
Mm-hmm.
looked at her being a 3/8. She's got resistance and official tags. On attack, you may give another resistance unit or a unit with a resistance upgrade on it +2/+2 for this phase.
It's on
Okay,
tap.
I'll start with this one because first thing that gives me that little ick is that you're paying 1, and then you're tapping
Mhm.
to give it specifically to a resistant unit, but you're giving +2/+2, and +2/+2 is pretty good. I think the
Yeah.
easiest person to compare her to is Wat Tambor, and I think Wat Tambor
Mhm.
just does what she wants to do better because you're gonna lose units every turn, and Wat Tambor you could like combine with exploit, and it could be given to any unit with any trait. She's specifically resistance. I don't know how well resistance is going to do. Poe Dameron, the red Poe Dameron's a pretty good card, but the rest of the unit in a resistance only deck, I'll say she's fun. I like something that focuses is only on a certain thing because that makes that deck fun. I just don't see her being too impactful.
All right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a little bit higher on her than you. I like her a little bit more. I have the same problem with that side that you do, where it's that you have to pay 1. Now, resistance for me is pretty general. There's a lot of resistance cards, and then it's resistance, and then it's upgrade. So it's resistance and resistance
Yeah.
upgrades. So, theoretically, there should be more resistance and more resistance upgrades coming out within this new set. So hopefully it's something that should be going wider. But I do have that same problem that you were talking about before, where it's you're paying 1 resource and you're taking an entire action to boost up something for my next turn. Um, but I will say, on her flip side, I really like her flip side. So there, it's on every single attack. So once she's already flipped and already out on the board, um, I won't say the exact turn that she's flipped. You won't. Yes, you will still attack and have to boost something else up afterwards. But after that, every phase from then on out, you can attack immediately, and you're getting immediate upgrade on whatever else you have on the board. And it says it's a +2/+2 on a unit,
Mm,
right? Or
a resistance unit, yeah.
yeah, it's a resistant unit, but it could also be something in the
Yeah,
space. It doesn't
upgrade.
have to. It's not limited to just that specific area. So I'm a little, and then +2 is way more than it has any right to be. It like in a game, it really does make a difference. Um, I don't know. I totally understand why you don't like it that much. I think I think it can even give itself that buff, right?
Another resistance, so it has to be a different one. And then yeah, it
Okay.
has to be another resistance unit, so it can't buff itself.
Okay. Okay. I gotcha. All right. Well, but yeah, regardless, even if it can't buff itself, I still think it is still very powerful. And again, it's still one of those things where it's like if you're making a deck around, making a deck with resistance units in it, so you're giving it a lot of chances
Alright,
to
so
pay off.
I mean,
go ahead, Doug.
you
I
can buff her. She can buff herself if she has a resistance upgrade on
It says
her.
another. She can't upgrade.
Another resistance unit or a unit with a resistance upgrade
Oh,
on it.
that,
So it
yeah,
can be her if
yeah,
she's
yeah.
upgraded.
It's just specifically if it's
that,
an
that,
upgrade.
that feels like
Yeah.
that's not true. I'll be honest. I don't think. I know it says another resistance unit or a unit. It feels like it's still going to be another. That'd have to be another rolling
We're
check.
gonna have to bring this
We're
to
we're really
yeah.
making the judges do their work, bro. Actually,
Absolutely.
it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, we do that a lot though. I'm not gonna lie.
But I
But
do want to say one thing before Duck continues or Duck goes
absolutely.
with his part. One thing that we talked about a lot, and we're gonna talk about with another unit, is you're showing your hand when you
Before
you
you go.
when you buff something. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, I wonder what
agree.
they're gonna do
I
next
agree.
turn. You know what I'm saying? Like, if
Yeah,
I buff
but,
this thing with a +2/+2, it gives my opponent the opportunity to respond to that. And I just don't think she could do what Tambor didn't see that much competitive play. I don't see how she takes the cake over Wat Tambor, who does a lot less
absolutely.
broad reasoning
Oh yeah, definitely not.
He just does it for free. Yeah.
with any unit,
I agree with
free
you.
and any unit.
I agree with you. I think her flip side makes me a little bit better on just because it's on attack. And like I said, I just like her for the next few phases. For the next few phases, and she has 8 health, so she's gonna survive probably
Yeah,
at least another phase.
at least 2 phases. I don't see her dying.
I would give her at least 2 phases on most tables. So I would say, you know, you're getting to at least get that big buff. Because again, you should have resistance cards in your hand. You're getting that big buff for a +2/+2 every single time she attacks. I think it's useful. So although I don't think her regular side is all that good, I think her flip side kind of bumps her up a little bit for me.
All right, Duck, you got anything else to say about her?
No, I don't really have an opinion on her, and she's not really anything special for me. I'm just
Sounds
thinking like a
kind of
C tier.
You're thinking C.
Yeah.
You guys are
Yeah,
both.
kind
I'm
of
going
man.
D, but
Let's go.
I'll go with D. I can bump it down to D.
He's like, I'm bumping it down to D.
I'm
two
happy
to
bumping it down to
one.
D.
Okay,
I just think if
fucking
Wat
bumping it
Tambor
D.
didn't
Bumping
succeed,
it
I
D.
don't see how she takes it over him.
Yeah,
I
definitely
see
not.
that. I definitely see that.
Let's go to Wedge. Wedge looks fun. I think we can all agree on Wedge here. We're also gonna try to speed it up a little bit, man. We're at 30 minutes already, 35.
God.
So let's try,
Didn't you say one thing?
I said let's do 20-minute video. All right, man.
We can cut some of it.
I don't know how much we could cut. All right, let's go.
I mean, you could edit it somehow.
Wedge. Action, tap, play a card from your hand using piloting. It costs 1 less. He flips at 5. He's a 3/6 as a ground unit. As a pilot, he's a 3/4. And on attack, the next pilot you play this phase costs 1 less. I'm gonna let one of you start with him, but before anything, I want to say, so on this leader side, it has to be specifically using piloting. On the next side, you pay 1 less as long as it's got the
Just
pilot trait. That is a little different.
Yeah, bro. I did notice that. I did notice that. I put that in my notes.
All right.
Yeah. So, I do think it's gonna be interesting. I think this card is very dependent on how many or how strong the cards that have piloting come out with, because this is going to be the first set that
Yeah.
has piloting tag. So this one is the one that is really wholly dependent on the cards that come out this set. Because of that, I really can't give you a super good thought process on it. Again, you know, one of the things is that I got to give it a little bit of bonus points for being unique. I don't, you know what I mean? It's the first time we had piloting, so I got to give it that. It's also back to what we were talking about before, about whatever the fuck the other guy's name. You're being able to play things from your hand, which is something that you're going to do anyway, for 1 less. ideally, again, if you're making a deck around this guy, you're going to have a lot of decks that have that piloting um, tag in there. So when you're using that piloting ability, it's going to cost one less. So that's whenever you're attaching it directly to a vehicle. Um, so I think that could be really useful. I just think that like compared to some of the other things, it's just not something that's going to be as useful when you look at all the sets as a whole.
For me,
Oh yeah, I think we have to see, like, since a pilot is a brand new trait, we have to let people turn out the meta. We have to let the meta cook. We'll have to see later on in the set's life if Wedge sees like any kind of play, because you can't just do this immediately. You have to see which pilots are good on certain competitive matchups. You just can't do it immediately. You have to let everybody's thought process just cook it, and then then we'll see if it's going to be good or not. And if not, then we will have to wait for another set to come out with more cards that will maybe flesh out the
so
piloting.
far the most people have been talking about Wedge is actually aggro. So quick decks, which makes sense, right? You're cheating something out for one, but one thing with him is you have to have a vehicle in play already, and then you could pilot.
Right.
So that's not too hard.
That's
I don't think that's too hard to get out, right? Is having a vehicle and then playing him, but
Yep.
in getting something for cheaper. First of all, you don't waste a turn because you're just gonna play a card from your hand anyway. So that you were saying, you're
Right.
not wasting a turn using his ability, and you're getting it one less. And I have to
love
give him a
that.
lot of credit for that, right? Because you're not paying
Love
for
that.
it. You're not wasting a turn because you're gonna play a card anyways, and it makes something cheaper. I'd give him a lot of credit for that. And where are we at on the tier list right here? I think we could kind of. Where would you guys start?
I would probably, and I don't know if this is being generous, but this is back to what I was saying, where it's like there's a lot, there's very structured resources. So anything that helps you being able to get things any cheaper and all that gives it a big plus in my book. So I would start them off at A. I don't know where you
Okay.
guys are looking at.
I would also start him off at A.
I was gonna go more B, just because I like P.
We don't know what.
Yeah. I would go more B with him. I'd honestly like put him hand to hand with P here.
Let's go B. Let's go B with it. I definitely just because you're comparing it or what the fuck I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
It always looks so French to me. No, but yeah, I would probably put him on par with them. But again, it's really just dependent on how these cards look. I really hope we have strong piloting cards. I really hope we have strong pilot cards. If we have really good pilot cards, that might bump them
It changes
up.
the whole
But,
meta actually. If piloting is that good.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. But yeah, I think I'm comfortable with him at a B.
All right, ready for
too.
Boba? All right, I'm gonna read Boba. I don't remember too much about Boba, so I'm about to read him again. So this is no tap. It's not an action. I gotta fix it. When you deal non-combat damage, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. That player assigns 1 unpreventable damage among their base and units. And then he flips at 6. He's a 4/7, so that's a pretty basic normal stat line as a unit. And he's a 4/4 as a pilot. When deployed as an upgrade, deal up to 4 damage divided as you choose. So you get to pick this for among any number of units. I'm gonna start them out. So you have to deal non-combat damage to be able to pop it. Non-combat damage? Is that just pings, right? Like pinging,
So
or is that non-base damage?
non-combat damage means non-base damage.
No,
non.
that would mean base damage.
Is it non-combat damage? Yeah, so that's not
Hold on,
1/1. I'll have to look it up. Okay, so it's gonna be just pings. So it's not attacking the base or anything. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so non-combat damage would be ping damage. So you're playing cards that deal damage. So he's an indirect damage deck. I don't know why I thought about this. His deck cares about doing indirect damage, which is the damage that your opponent assigns to their own units. And basically, when you deal that damage, you get to do an additional 1 more damage to that player. So you're kind of just making them assign a bunch of damage. Um, okay, so he's a ping deck. I would almost you would feel like he's control then, right?
I definitely see why you say that, but it is just straight damage. It is just about damage, so I definitely see how that could also.
So you just I would guess because you're just trying to like if you're doing damage, you're controlling their units though. Like they can't get too far away because you're just ping, like trying to ping them to death. And then
Right.
when he flips, he feels his flip side as an upgrade. He feels very controlly too. To me, because you flip and you get to do 4 damage as you choose, and that feels controlly to me. Like at this point, you're like you feel like you're controlling their board. I like him as a control deck. I
But
haven't
like,
seen too much about him.
if
It's kind of like a watered down
I was
Palpatine.
thinking the same thing.
His
That
flip.
the 8 cost Palp unit.
right,
Yeah.
right. I know exactly what you mean. Um, I think I think he's really good. I think his hold on.
he has a lot of some support for indirect damage, but it doesn't have to be only indirect damage. That's one thing. So it's just like ping damage, and then you get to do an extra ping. That feels pretty good.
The best way I would say it is that it's kind of just basic but good. It's is if you're already doing damage, you just get to pick where. And that's the good part about it. So
Well,
it's like it's not
if no,
just
you get to the ping damage the other player chooses. So his ability, the other player will get to choose where that damage goes. It's unpreventable, but they will choose where that damage goes.
Yeah, indirect damage. I don't like indirect
I'm
damage
I'm
because.
thinking about the flip side. I'm not really
Oh, you're
looking
talking
at
about flip side.
your
Okay,
screen.
okay.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I wasn't really screen, so I was kind of going based off. I'm just kind of reading my notes. Um, what the fuck
The
was I
4
saying?
damage as you choose, where you want it to go.
It was just. I'm just saying it's just damage on top of damage. Um, I do like the idea is that again that you're kind of you're already going to go ahead and get value out of something. When you're upgrading, you're going to be able to do 4 damage. Now it is that one time only, but very often that being able to control where where that 4 damage goes might be able to make the difference between the game. Whether you already have a unit that's already been a little bit damaged, maybe you just need to get a few of these small units out of the way. Um, I think being able to do 4 damage to units is going to be
It's also
pretty
pretty
big.
good as a response to someone else playing their leader, and then you play your leader, and immediately their leader does 4 damage on it.
4 damage off. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like if you have a clone trooper out, like that might be able to just take out anything else because it is just free. Yeah, as soon as you flip it, it's like you're not paying anything for it.
So, and
Um,
again, seems very control deck to me.
I hear that. I definitely hear that. But all in all, the way I was looking at it is that I think that it's pretty good. I don't think it's a like crazy deck. I don't think it's going to be on the top of the meta. I don't think it's going to be. I still think it's pretty
All
good.
right, so where are we thinking? Where are we thinking? Again, it's kind of that thing where, I said this earlier, and I think we could go back to the Saj C. I feel like we could go
Yeah.
back to the Saj C, and then put Boba there.
Yeah,
What do we think?
That's fair.
I agree.
That's fair with
maybe
me because it's not as good as
Maybe
it was.
above Asajj.
A lot of things would be above Asajj.
Asajj, I'm thinking
Uh,
more about the deck. Asajj, I think Asajj C here is fine. Yeah, I think this is where I'm not gonna change my mind. Let's hurry up and get it because we're still at now 40 minutes. So let's try to 45. So let's get to Captain Phasma.
We definitely have to.
We're gonna speed it up a little more here. Right? Action, tap. If you played a first order card this phase, deal 1 damage to a base. On attack, if you played another first order card this phase, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. If you do, deal 1 damage to that base. We all talked about this before. This is like Darth Vader from set 1, except with a free
Right.
action, but a little more. Again, how you were saying with
Yeah.
resistance with who is it? Holdo? With Holdo, it's
yeah.
first order. So, I mean, you're going to use a first order deck for this. You don't have too many first order cards because they're mostly coming out this set.
Right.
Let's read the flips actually. So 5 cost, 4/6, pretty decent stat line. You could go. I think this could be an aggression deck. It feels like it could be either control or aggression. That's probably where you're gonna go with this deck. I would say more aggression, but it's the first order feels
Yeah.
specific. You do like to deal 1 damage to a base though for free.
Yeah. And
Uh,
aggression decks are generally just always at the top of the meta. So there's always like, seemingly a lot of good cards, and especially with first order cards coming in, this leader can be especially really good. So I think it'll get a good, well, maybe some play to start out, or even when they flesh out more sets, it'll even get more play after that. So I'm thinking like a B around that area.
so what I was saying, looking at it, not that the biggest fan on it, just because it's just 1 damage. I think that let me see its flip side.
Yeah. I will say the
I
comparison
hadn't.
is Sabine, who Sabine sees a lot of play, and she does 1 damage to her base and 1 damage to the opponent's base. So that 1 damage.
So my main problem with Captain Phasma is that it's on its attack. It's if you've already played another first order card this phase, so it's breaking that cardinal sin that we
Yeah.
talk about, where it's like your turn order, where like especially with an aggro deck, you have a 4/6. The first thing you want to do is go to somebody's face, or you want to go to some kind of unit with it. You don't want to have to wait for something else to do something to then go do it. You're giving them a chance to be able to respond, to exhaust it, to do something to that card. So it gets a little knocked down for me because of that.
I don't know if I'd go B.
Uh,
I think B's high, and
I
I
think B's too
think the
high.
comparison here is the Holdo because
It's only 1 damage.
uh
Yeah,
I do
because
think it's
it's only
better
1
than
damage.
Holdo though. I do think it's better. The flip side again, it's a 4/6 at 5. So 5's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a sweet
Mm-hmm.
spot with leaders. Anything after 5, you're kind
That's
of
true.
playing more control-y. Anything before 5,
That's
you're really
fair.
playing aggression. So you're expecting a 5 flip. That's just like the average flip. So you're not doing a aggro flip, I would say. And I agree with you what you said about the we really, at least over here, we like to attack and then do things.
Everything else
So
after.
it feels a little weird to have to play your card, then hope your card survives and doesn't get tapped, all kinds of thing, and then attack with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we go above Holdo here on D. Where we got?
I agree completely.
I wouldn't be too mad at it. Yeah, you
Okay.
could do that.
We're gonna skip this guy for now. I don't even remember his name. Let's go to Luke until we could get a picture pulled up of him. Luke, hero of Yavin. Yavin. I don't. People are mad. I said Yavin. All right. Action tap. If you attacked with a fire unit this phase, deal 1 damage to a unit, and 5, 6, or 6 as a unit, or as a pilot, it gets on attack. First of all, this upgrade can't be defeated by enemy card abilities. That's very significant.
First and only card I've ever seen
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
in
it's
there.
very significant. That means
That was a note for me. That was a big.
because
I don't know many, like, there are definitely, like, I can only think of one off the top of my head that like defeats an upgrade.
there's quite
Um,
a few.
but yeah, I'm sure, I'm a little new, but like off the top of my head, I can only think of one. But like I was like, still, just the fact that that's a complete that can't affect this in any way, shape,
Mhm.
or form was a big plus for me.
And then let me read the
Um,
ability real quick. Attach
go
unit
ahead.
as a leader unit. If it's a fighter, it gains on attack. You may deal 3 damage to a unit. Wait, oh damn! I don't even remember reading that.
Mm-hmm,
If it's a fighter, it gains on
mm-hmm.
attack. Deal 3 damage to a
So
unit.
it'd be a 7/5
Yeah, so it's just doing an additional 3 damage every attack plus the 4/5 at 6.
basically.
Okay.
And that 3 damage you get to
Yep.
choose.
Okay. So I think since we have to go a little quicker here, it protects
Mhm.
itself. It does 3 damage
Absolutely.
every attack plus the 4/5 that it does. It has force.
Oh yeah.
Go back to
The only thing,
wait.
the only thing is it comes out at 6, and this feels again maybe a little aggro like, but I feel like
Mhm.
6 is warranted. Like it's broken if it comes out at 5. This is
I
broken if
definitely
it comes out
It's
at 4.
it's an extra. Go back to the flip side. I believe it's an extra 7 damage for free.
Mm-hmm.
Like
If it's a fighter,
every turn. Like,
literally.
it's super
And
good. I
there's
really
I,
like it.
I
uh,
can't 100% say this confidently, but I'm sure there's a lot of fighters in the like. It has to be a fighter unit. I can
Right.
feel like I can confidently say there's enough fighter units for this to be a good ability.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just that thing we were saying before, where it's like you just have to make sure you yourself building that deck. You have a lot of fighters in your hand. But as long as you have that, it's giving you something it's giving you even your regular ability. It's giving you one extra damage for if you've already played a fighter or if you've already attacked with a
And
fighter. Which
yep,
again, if you're doing what we talked about, where you attacked first, that is what you should be doing. So you already it's basically getting payoff for what you
yeah,
should
it
be
keeps
doing.
you on
I love it.
schedule. I would say on schedule. You're on schedule here.
Absolutely.
Where are we
Absolutely.
going?
So I love both sides on it. I love both sides on it.
Where are we going?
I would
I'm,
go.
I'm at least A.
I think
I'm at
A.
least A. I
Yeah.
I just can't think of a flaw. I don't know a reason why I'd bring it. Maybe
I will agree with you. I know where you're going with this, Mike. I will agree with you. I'll go S.
I just the only thing I think I can't think of a flaw. I don't know why I wouldn't. Why
I
wouldn't?
mean, the flaw would be
You know?
fighter units, but I just don't think you would struggle
Right.
finding fighters.
Right. Right.
Let's go to Poe. Let's go to Poe. All right. Pay 1, tap, flip this leader, and attach him as an upgrade to a friendly vehicle unit without a pilot on it. It's a 5 cost, 4/6, and then as an upgrade, he is a 2/1. And by the way, he has to be deployed. He has to be deployed as a unit on his flip turn. You
Mhm.
cannot deploy him
Yeah.
as a upgrade. That's only as
Even
his
though
other
his
ability.
ability hasn't, even though his ability hasn't piloted a bunch of stuff, he has to come out
All
of.
right, and then the action is pay 1 if he's a pilot. Attach this upgrade to a friendly vehicle unit without a pilot on it. Uses ability once per round. So basically, every turn you can guarantee one of your vehicles has a +2/+1. That feels pretty good, especially in a red. The flip side, I don't think you're too worried about his flip side. 5, 4, 6. I don't know if when you're playing this deck you're worried about him as a unit.
Probably not nearly as much. You probably. I mean, a 4/6 isn't anything to scoff at.
Yeah, I mean it's 5 at 5, 4, 6 feels like average as a unit. It's a free 4/6, right? But it feels
Mhm.
average. It doesn't have any
Mhm.
ability, and you almost might be waiting for it to die, right? Take advantage of his other thing. You
Right.
might be like swinging at him to trade with another unit maybe, and then you get right back to your scheduled program of using his other ability.
And he has a decent enough health that he'd probably be able to take 2 hits or something. Even if you're just trying to swing him out to trade things out, I wouldn't be mad at it.
Uh,
I think Poe. I actually quite like Poe.
I
I'm not
like
gonna
Poe
lie.
too. I don't want to be too hypocritic because you have to pay the 1 and then attach him to a unit,
Mhm.
which means you're not attacking
I agree.
first.
I
So
agree.
Yeah.
your opponent again. I wonder what they're gonna do next turn after you attach this to Poe. But I think a free 2/1, not a free. Okay, let's not say free. I
Yeah.
think having a guaranteed +2 attack anytime you'd like it, that feels pretty strong,
Oh
especially in
yeah.
aggression.
That's super strong.
I agree with you. And it's just another one of those things where like, it's very unique. So I got to give it.
Uh,
I got to give it a step up because it's unique, but then a step down because exactly what you said because of turn order
Yeah.
issue.
And
For
we
us,
we like unique over here. We like new things. This is a new type of
I do
leader.
like unique. Mhm.
I'd say A.
I would say
I
A,
was planning before
because
we even got to it to put it A. I think Luke. I don't know why I haven't paid too much attention to Luke. Wow, so
Luke
I'll go A here, and I think that's good. Let's go to Admiral Trench. I was gonna read that part too. You tap him.
Sorry.
You discard a card that costs 3 or more from your hand. If you do, you draw a card, and then his action. You do not get to flip him for free at 6. You have to pay 3,
It's
but you
2
can
or
do it.
3.
It's 3, and you could do it if he
Yeah,
dies.
yeah.
You could do it again. It's like a commander in Magic the Gathering. You just get to continuously pay 3 to get a 4/5. Good value, but you do want a free leader. So let me read his. He's a 6/4/5. When deployed, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. An opponent discards 2 of them. Draw 1 of the remaining cards. When I first saw this card, I was like, okay, this again. I don't know if it's maybe because I love control. This is a control deck, right? You get to shuffle in your hand, or you get to, cycle. You get to
Manipulate.
hand cycle.
Cycle, yeah.
So like, if you don't like this one card, cycle it out for a new one, because you're looking for those late game hits. You always have a guaranteed 4/5, 4/3, which is good value, but in a control deck, you're trying to save as much resource as you can. Do you really want to pay 3 for your leader to flip?
Yeah, I'm be 100% honest with you. Right off the rip, It's like every step of the way, like every benefit came with a big negative, too big for me. Ever like just the big takeaway from me was just not worth it.
You're paying 3, like what you said. The negative is too big. You're paying 3 to potentially get rid of two really good cards from the top of your
That
deck.
is one problem.
I really do not like
And
that.
you have to reveal
And then
your
it's
cards
like-
too. So your opponent
you
picks.
reveal all
Yeah.
four. Your opponent gets to see all four, gets to decide, look at your board, look at their board, look at all 4 cards, and go, these are the 2 most beneficial cards for you. Put them bitches in the
And
trash.
then
Like it,
your opponent basically knows what card you're gonna add to your deck.
Like,
too.
forbid you have a
it-
cunning, that's gone.
and it's completely, you're just giving away information.
Yeah.
And I don't like it even as regular action because then you have to discard a card that goes 3 or more. That could be a really good card. Like if you like most good cards start off at 3
Well,
costs.
I mean, you get
higher.
to pick.
So like,
That's like, let's say,
well, I know, but
situational.
but I'm just saying like if you discard if you know if you want to use its action, if you're using its action, you're discarding 3 cost cards on the regular. I just feel like it's just too much of a cost just to draw a card.
Well,
You're
Yeah.
getting rid of.
well, I think in my head, you're discarding this card in hopes of pulling a better card, like a more,
I
so like it's not like, oh, this is
100%. That is the point of cycling. I just think it's I just think it's not worth it because it's like I just think there's other ways that you're able to that were I know it probably in different colors and stuff like that, but it's just
yellow's a lot of hand
all
stuff.
in all. Yeah, it's just all in all. I ended up just this one kind of left a little bad taste in my mouth. I really just did not.
Yeah, I'm thinking F.
Okay. Before we all
I'm-
go F, I just want to say, he's at least different. You know what I'm saying? He at least
He is
he's
different.
At least different. You know.
He is unique.
But
He is unique. That gives him a bump.
I would say worse than Holdo, obviously, in Phasma, and I feel like maybe we're being rough on Phasma because when you put Phasma next to this card, it's like no chance these guys are similar. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I definitely hear you. I hear you.
I think Phasma eventually, when we do a little revital, gets boosted up.
Might be.
But we'll come
Yeah.
back to that. Let's go to Rio. What is he? Rio Durant.
I'm not
right?
mad.
Kevin Durant's brother. All right. You pay 1, tap him, attack with a space unit, gets +1 attack and gains Saboteur for this attack. And then his flip side, he's at 5. You could make him a unit, a 3/5 with Saboteur, or he's a 3/5 with Saboteur and attached unit gains Saboteur. I'm sorry, and if it's a transport, it also gets +1.
There you go.
I think this is very basic. I can't hate on it too much. It's not like it's terrible. It's very basic to me. It feels like a draft card.
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Yes, especially during drafts. I felt like Sentinel is something that during drafts, Sentinel literally won me a game whenever I should have been losing. I do believe Sentinel has the ability to be able to change a game very big. So being able to give one of your units Saboteur, I think has the ability to be able to change the game. I do think yes, it is more during drafts and stuff like that. I think it make more of a difference. But I don't dislike the idea of being able to consistently give things
and
Saboteur.
+1, which
They
can't go. Now I'm thinking about it because it says attack with a unit, so you're not losing.
Mhm.
You're not
Mhm.
losing a
You're
turn.
paying 1, so you are paying 1. So there is a little bit.
But you're not losing a turn. You know what I'm
But
saying?
you're attacking,
And
but
you're getting
not losing the
+1.
turn.
I feel like you're okay with, you're okay with paying 1 for +1, and you're not losing an action.
Absolutely. And again, like if you were in a position, fuck, he only has 8 health left. Like I could really do a difference here. I would almost be paying 1 resource just for the Saboteur. For you, throwing a +1 on top of there is just the icing on the cake. But like, just to be able to get around a Sentinel, if somebody only had 8 and I have a 6 damage, 6 damage, or something like that, that might make the difference. Because I could probably be able to do another 1 or 2 chip damage to the base with another card. I really do think that just having Saboteur alone would probably be enough for me to willing to pay one resource. The fact that they're adding a +1 on top of there, I think that's
And so
those
at
cards are pretty
5,
high
it's a
up there.
3/5, but it's really a 4/5 with Saboteur because if you're playing this, you're putting it on transport. So, uh,
Ideally,
I
I don't
think
know
that's
how
an
many cards are
alright. I think that's
transported.
an.
Is that a new
I
one?
don't think so. I don't
I
think so.
haven't.
I think there's
I
gonna
don't.
be
Oh
plenty.
no. No. I have seen
So
transport.
I think it's all right. Like I'm not putting it there with Vader. You know, I don't think it's the Vader.
No.
I think C.
I
I
think
would.
C.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is pretty good. I would just put it. I'll
a
put it
happy
above
C.
Visage. I'll put it above Visage.
You want both sides? I can see it. I can see it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go Admiral Akbar. So he's pay 1,
Okay.
tap, exhaust a non-leader unit. If you do, its controller creates an X-Wing token. He comes out at 6. He's a 3/8 at 6. And on attack, you may exhaust a unit. If you do, its controller creates an X-Wing token. So there's two ways you could
Love
look
him.
at him, right? You're paying 1, exhausting. See, I feel like the one way that I'm about to explain is paying 1 to exhaust your opponent's unit and then giving them a X-Wing token. That's just a poor man's Jango Fett, right? And you're also buffing. You know, you're paying 1, buffering your opponent.
Yeah,
But so then you're going to say, well, he's to make X-Wing tokens for you, which is fun, right? But then you have to exhaust one of your units that you probably wanted attacked with to make a 2/2 that again can't attack this turn.
yeah. He, like you said, he's a poor man's Django. And I mean, it's heroism, so it's different. But even still, I don't think it's worth it for the
Yeah,
trade-off.
I'm not too big of a fan on him, and then like I said, I don't think he's worth it on either side. You know, exhausting one of your opponent's units, or creating an X-wing token for yourself. You know,
Yeah,
I think
It's
a
just not for
3/8/6
me.
is cool, and I think his flip side is better. You may exhaust a unit if you do its controller. I think that's somewhat better because it's on attack and you're not paying for it, but it's just it doesn't feel too great. I think Rio is better.
I like him. I think that being able to exhaust an enemy unit. I know giving him a X-wing token isn't ideal, but I think something like that could save you. I think early game you could use it on yourself to be able to possibly build a bigger board. I think it's situationally. I think it is better, and you guys are giving it a little bit of credit for. Um,
I think because
I
in a way, yeah, you
do.
can use it in two different ways while playing it.
That's how I'm thinking about it.
It's a little
That's how I
versatile,
thought
I
about it.
guess.
Early on, if you don't have anything that well, especially if your opponent doesn't have much, even if they swing to your face, it's okay, fine, you might hit me with 1 or 2, but I'll exhaust the thing I have on my ground unit right now, just so I also have something on my space unit. You know what I mean?
I see
Like,
the
and now for the
versatility.
next phase, I now have something big. I just feel like it's also like you're saying a poor man's Django. I also think it's poor man's ramp in a certain way, like where you're getting more things onto the board. Um, uh, Before you really have any right to. And then later on, whenever your opponent has something bigger, it's a way of okay, fine. Yes, you may build that guy up to be an 8/8. Well, boom. Now I exhausted him. You sure you might have a 1/1 in your space, but at this point, I should already have something that
I
can
think
deal with
just the
that.
one thing is paying
Uh,
kind of sucks, you know, because you're paying two things. You're paying as
I
on
do agree
your
with
like
that.
if you want to do it on your turn, you're paying both 1 and you're flipping one of you're exhausting one of your units, so you're paying twice for an X-wing.
Okay. I'm not. I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Having to pay for it and also give them a X-wing token is pretty
it's
crazy.
kind of like a unit ramp instead of a resource ramp, but
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And I guess with
it's
coordinator
it's just
something it's
not for me
cool,
though.
but about coordinates as much as you could get from me. So where are we thinking? Where are we
Yeah.
thinking?
Um,
I was thinking
I
D.
was thinking D2.
I was thinking D, yeah.
I think better than Trench, I guess, because we're Trench
Hundred
is at the
percent.
end here, right? We weren't really fans of Trench.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're lucky you didn't get
Trench is
booted.
on the
I think
line.
while we,
I'm about to say,
I
I
will say
would.
while we're here, do we go ahead and put Phasma? Because I don't see Phasma being in the same tier here with Akbar here.
No, I think Phasma goes up
Yeah,
one.
I don't see Phasma being
But
here.
I wouldn't be too mad at you moving it up on.
Because it at least does, you know, something. All right, let's go with Han Solo.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna like those guys' video. We're gonna like hit the exact same time limit on it, bro. All right, so it's
Again, we can cut some of the stuff out.
yeah, I'll cut some. It's tap, reveal the top card of your deck, then attack with a unit. If the revealed card and that unit have a different odds cost, that unit gets +1 for this attack. And then it's a 5 cost 3/7 as a unit, or a 3/4 as a pilot. And when deployed as an upgrade for each friendly unit or upgrade that has an odd cost, ready a resource. Mike, you want to start out with this one?
So this is one that whenever I first started reading it, I was very okay, again, bonus points for being unique. It's, reveal the top of your deck. You don't. The way I felt about it was that, like, you're kind of revealing a bit of information, for potentially no benefit. At the end of the day, it is still beholden on the cost of the cards. That's not something you can really dictate right then and there. So you're revealing information because what does it say? Reveal the top card of your deck, then attack with the unit. Then the revealed card, if it has odd cost, then it gets +1. So you have to show this card to your opponent no matter what. Now, if this card could be whatever it is that you were planning on doing down the line, and even if it has an even cost, they still see it. They still know it's going in your hand next turn, and you still didn't get any benefit for it. The only thing that saved it is its flip side. Now, for every single friendly unit and upgrade you have, it readies a resource. And this is where I was saying before, where every single thing that, because you have such a limited amount of resources, anything that can give you more resources is a big boost. So I found myself in a weird crossroads here, where I really did not like the original side, and I really liked the flip side. I don't know. I honestly, for everything I liked, I found something I
think okay.
I
think so. First of all, there's plenty of cards that will allow you to check the top card of your deck. So I don't think it's too much of a problem of having to see it match. You'll know if it's there's ways to tell, but even if not, I think you're not losing an action by tapping him, and you're potentially just getting a free +1. I know you're giving a lot of information by telling what's my next card I'm gonna draw, and your opponent knows what's in your hand, and that's for the chance that you get that +1. So it's a chance, which again feels unique. But I mean, you're not losing an action, getting a +1. That feels pretty good. I mean, you have to pay a price or something. Nothing's free. So this price that you're paying is information. And I mean, I'm sure there's a way to build a deck around this. I'm sure people know.
I would have felt even better about it if it was a +1/+1. It's the fact that it's just +1 attack, and you're revealing, and again, like, you're definitely revealing information for a potential payoff. It's not like
I mean, we all place parlays, you know what I'm saying? Like we all place parlays, This is the same thing as putting a first touchdown scorer, okay? Like it's a little bit of gambling, and if we're in gambling, I'm down, okay?
Never tell me the odds, buddy.
Never tell me the odds. That's the card's name.
I'm not gonna lie. It is on theme. I like it.
And I do really like the flip side. We've seen how strong Boba Fett was before he got banned. Like, he needed to get banned because resource cheating is crazy.
It's crazy.
So I like the flip side. I think the leader side's fun enough, and I think it has its chance to be good.
I don't like that. I still don't. You didn't convince me. I still don't like the flip side. But I would be comfortable.
Let's put Duck first. Let's let Duck say hello, and then we'll rank them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really have anything to say. I like his deploy side. I think his original side is all right. It's fun. It's definitely going to be fun to play. That's all I got to say. I think it kind of belongs sort of in C still.
I think I could go B.
Because it's not...
I'll even give it B. Because
I could give it B.
Its flip side is so strong.
That's game changing, really.
Its flip side,
that is a game changer.
Genuinely playing with resources, I almost want to give it A.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know about A.
No, but that's in how high regard I like the resources.
We got to do like some math geeks probably do it right. You're probably never gonna. We know this. You're not gonna ready all 5 resources because you need a friendly unit upgrade that has an odd. Oh, it's an odd cost, not a different cost. I thought it was a different cost. That changes it because that can all be one cost.
The first one was different.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
believe.
So I mean, yeah. Then you're probably, let's say like a
You know what I
hotspot
mean?
is you're readying up 3 resources. You have to
Uh-huh.
delay when playing him, right? Because you can't play him while you're at 5 resources.
Probably wait till
But
yeah.
I do like the. I mean, there's definitely ways where I think you're usually re-readying 3 more resources and then you get another play. You know, I think that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. And I think that's at least B. I think that's at least B.
I definitely give it B. I feel good with it at B.
All right. Well, I'll put it. I kind of feel like I'm gonna put him right there. I don't know where I'm gonna pass him a little
That's
later.
fine.
All right, let's go over Kazuda
Not arguing.
Ziono. The best pilot in the galaxy. That's okay. You tap him, a friendly unit loses all abilities for this round, and then you take an extra action after this one. And then he's a 4/2/5 on attack. As a unit, choose any number of friendly units. They lose abilities for this round. He's a 3/3 as a pilot, and attached unit leader gains on attack. Choose any number of friendly units. They lose all abilities for this round. Um, I think this card is awesome because the deck that you can build around this, there's plenty of cards that are buffed up and they have some type of debuff or some con to them that this guy just lets you ignore, and you're above the curve when you have that.
It's another thing where it's like we'll see with the new cards that come out in the set, whether more cards will come out with debuffs and stuff like that. I do like the idea of being able to completely kind of negate any debuffs either you do to yourself or your opponent might do to you. Um, it's like the Eminem method of like of Star Wars, where you just put all your stuff out, you just get it all out there before they can get you. Um, so I think this would benefit a lot from just good deck building. Um, yeah, and it's unique. It's just it's another one of those things
100%.
where it's like
And
you
you
always
don't
gotta get
lose
bonus
as a
points for
leader side. You
uniquely.
don't lose a turn again. You actually it gives you an extra turn. So
That,
you're
that's also kind of crazy, and that's also one thing I would say where it's like again, like I like to give bonus points for things I've never seen before. Take an extra action after this one. I've never seen that
because it
text
kind of
before.
feels like they didn't have to say that. There's probably they probably could have just ignored it. Like
You're right.
just it could. I guess you have to tap it, but it feels like there was a way they could
Right,
have just
right.
said it.
I guess it was
But it
just
looks fun. So
yeah.
I
I don't know.
mean, is-
I um I absolutely I like this card. I think it is very situational, but I do think that um you know given the meta and like I don't know enough about set one or set two. Like I would have to go through and like really look through all the cards to see all the ones that have
and
debuffs.
and I would say set
Um
two had a lot of cards that had built-in bounties to them, and they were a little bit stronger. And now you
mhm,
lose that with this
mhm.
guy. So
You lose the yeah. So, I think it's interesting. I think it's very cool. I would be really interested to see if this is a tier list of what we're interested to see, what we want to, what we think is going to be really cool. I would put them pretty much near the top of the list.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
That's
think at least A.
I would think,
A.
yeah,
I think
top of
A.
A.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
unique.
Top of A. I feel comfortable with.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to Rose. I'm gonna have
Tell me.
to pull this over a little bit, or and then shove it. Okay,
Rose.
cool. All right. So Rose here, action, tap, heal 2 damage from a vehicle unit that attacked this phase, and a 5 cost 4/6 on attack. You may heal 2 damage from a vehicle unit.
Yeah.
Pretty
Personally,
basic.
I'm not too mad at it. Exactly like you said, it's pretty basic. It's kind of hard to have a. It's a little bit conditional in the fact that it's just vehicles, but vehicles can be on both sides at this point. So, I'm not mad at it. I think all in all, it's pretty basic and pretty good.
I think it's. I
Uh,
think it's like.
2 damage is
Yeah,
a
I was
lot.
about to say 2
Two
damage
damage
is
is
a
a lot.
lot, especially early game, right? Because let's say you attack. Okay, so
Absolutely.
you attack first. You kill one of your opponent's unit. Let's say this is just your first turn. You have the initiative. Turn 2.
Mhm.
You attack, kill their
Absolutely.
unit. They do 2 damage back. Let's say they do 2 damage back, maybe 3 damage back, right? But
Hmm.
you lived, and then next they can't
You get to heal
directly
after go.
respond without paying to respond. And then if they pay to respond, you're probably happy with that because you still haven't spent any resources. And if they just play another unit, then you tap this for free to heal that damage that you took, and then eventually you get to play your other unit. You feel pretty good on the curve.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I couldn't have said it any better. you're still not messing with your turn order. You can still attack first, do this action after. You're still doing and you're doing like Conan said, it's two damage. It's a lot of damage that you're healing back. Um I love that it only comes out at 5. Like it's pretty basic, but it's basic in all the best ways because it's so simple. You can apply it at any point in
And
time.
the flip
Like you said, you
side,
do it at the beginning of the game, end of the
the
game.
flip side really helps you on the it doesn't have to be a unit that attack now, so it can just heal a unit.
Absolutely.
And I think honestly, I think I like her a little more than I thought before. I think early game she really helps you out because you're
I,
attacking your opponent's units, responding to them. Now it feels like you need to have initiative, so that is one way. Like because if you don't have initiative, then your opponent can
uh
respond. But you attack their unit, hopefully take it out, or if you don't kill it, you did damage, then they have to respond, and you can heal it. So it feels pretty good in that sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like, it's very simple, but it's simple. So
Yeah,
I
I
give her
believe like I'm thinking like B, a good
I
B.
give her A.
I was gonna go top of C, just because I
It's just okay. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but think about it. Uh, Again, if you can use it in the beginning of the game, you can use it in the middle of the game, and the end of the game. I don't see. It's like okay, yeah, it's very simple, but where's the
yeah,
downside?
I mean, and I think that makes it
Where's the
perfect for
negative?
BC then, right? But I feel like
Yeah,
our
B.
it's very basic has been C though. You know what I'm saying? Like C feels like it's been our very like the +1 saboteur. I feel like C is where but I'll put it B. I'll agree. I'll put it because I feel like if you have the initiative, it almost becomes like a perfect way to you know pick yourself up. Like your opponent, you attack your opponent. Hopefully you took your opponent out, and then you heal whatever damage you took from that attack. And it feels like again you're ahead of the curve.
I could see a world where even if you're behind the curve, it still can help you get back up. If you're already taking damage because maybe the other person already has initiative, there still gives you a chance to be able to heal back up and get back in the fight. Um,
All right.
I don't know. I like it.
Let's look for the other.
I
What
like
the
it.
fuck's this other guy's name?
The next guy is Major.
Major Von
Major
Reg.
monogram.
Major Dick.
Okay. This guy, I remember I was weird about. So let's. Oh, wrong tab. All right. Let's go with Major Von Rig. Action tap. Play a vehicle unit from your hand, paying its cost. If you do, give another unit +1 for this phase. Flip side, he's a 4 comes out at 4 as a 2/5 as a unit or 3/3 as an upgrade. And as a pilot, you may give another unit on in this arena +1 for this phase, and that's an on attack trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say the first part that I know all of us would think first because it's very major to the way we play the game. You have to attack. You have to play a card and then attack. This guy feels really weird because you're gonna play specifically a vehicle from your hand, and then you're gonna tell your opponent who you're gonna attack with next phase.
Attack, and then you're gonna attack.
It is free, and you're not losing an action because you're tapping. In a way, you're not losing an action, but you have to specifically play a vehicle, and you have to give +1, and your opponent knows who that +1's going to. But I think his flip side as a 4 at 4 as a pilot, it's a lot better. It's on attack, just give
It is
another
a lot
unit
better.
+1. That feels a lot better as a 3/3 too.
It is a lot better. Um, I just at this point is just compared to everybody else, right? It's like, especially after sitting here and talking about every single. I understand he comes out at 4, and that's probably the big thing about him. This is the first one that I've seen that comes out at 4 resources. So I got to give him a little bit of credit for that.
Zayolo
But
did. Kazuda Zayolo came at 4.
did he come out at 4 too?
Yeah.
I thought he was 5. Okay,
He's just like, you don't really
just
think
missed
about him
that.
as a 4.
That's right. Yeah, but so I can't even give him credit for that. No, so he's just all around. I think you're absolutely right. His flip side is better, but it's
I would
still,
far say his flip side is
It's
good. Like his flip side is good.
eh,
It's just
it's just one. Yeah, you're right. You get attack, you give somebody else attack, but um,
you just
I
give your
mean,
opponent the
it would
chance
be
to
better.
respond, and your opponent clearly. And I mean, sometimes
Don't we have
making your
somebody who
opponent
gives
respond is
somebody
good,
grit?
right?
And plus one.
You know,
You say making someone respond is good. I agree
but
with you.
if they're already going to do that,
Um,
where's the benefit in it?
to be honest with you, you gonna respond over a plus one? Not even plus one. You know what I mean? Like that might not change much.
I mean, we gave the dude
That
Saboteur
might
plus
not-
one a lot of credit. You know, I gotta give him something.
But because Saboteur, because I said I would pay one for Saboteur alone. The plus one was icing on the cake. That's what that's the reason why, and that's the point. The point I was trying to hammer home is that Saboteur for me makes a bigger deal because so many people play a lot of Sentinel. That's
and
one way
shield
to get
units
around
too.
it. So
I think so.
and
Where
shield,
do we
that's
put him?
right.
I think C. Honestly, he's not
basic.
too
Again, with the
terrible
basic,
where he goes in
yeah.
D.
Very basic.
He's just
I give him
super
a bottom
basic.
C.
You
I
bottom
give
of
him a
C. Yeah,
bottom
I
C.
agree.
Bottom C,
And
yeah.
honestly, okay. So let me move this. So we have finished with the list. There's someone I've been eyeing this whole time, and I'm like, maybe I was a little too harsh. You know, looking at it, Holdo. I'm pull her back up. I feel like with Holdo, maybe I'm a little too where we at. But it's just specific. Pay one, tap, you're paying one, and you have to tap, and you're giving something plus two. But plus two is better than the Von Reg thing, though, right? You know what I'm saying?
The plus two is a lot.
Yeah, it's better. It's definitely better than Von
The one
Reg.
thing I will say to her credit, the one thing I will say to her credit is by giving plus two damage and plus two health, you can survive
That is
more.
true.
And if you do decide that you do want to attack it to get it out of here, you're going to get it's going to hurt you as the
100% that
more.
plus two. I almost ignored that plus two health, but you are like I wouldn't say guaranteeing it lives, but you make it harder to take out.
Everybody's been dogging on her, and I again it does commit the mortal sin that we talk about, where you just fucking up the turn order. I agree 100%, but still
better than Von Reg.
And plus two is a lot.
A two
It's
attack,
way more
and
than
you're almost guaranteeing the life. I agree.
And then her flip side is so great. I mean, not great, but it's like it's
better. It's way better.
It undoes the problem that I had with it, where it's on attack. Whereas at least for the next phase from here on out, she can attack first.
Also, we're so stupid. We were reading the flip side, and we're like, you may give another resistance unit or a unit with resistance upgrade plus two. Why would you on attack? I guess on attack, depending on the ordering, why would you give it plus two after it attacked? So
after attack for the phase,
right? That might have been a little dumb on us.
Depending. Yeah. I was on the spot. I was like, wait, or on the spot as I was reading, I was like, wait, is there a way that she can give herself plus two as she's attacking?
But it says on attack, so maybe depending on sequencing, but I still don't think she'd be able to give herself plus two even if she had a resistance upgrade. All right, but is there anything else anybody else wants to change? Do we think this is?
I think this is a good list.
Man, Lando's ass. Dude, Lando's really fucking bad.
Lando's ass.
Holy shit! But now
you can just start whenever you want.
I'm recording, so turn you down, loud ass.